Okay, welcome back to Read Aloud of Frindle. Last time we read Mrs. Granger, seemingly unstoppable, cannot be prevented from teaching the class, no matter how good a job Nick does of writing a report and slowing things down and asking interesting questions. Let's see what happens. This chapter is called The Big Idea. 3 things happened later that same afternoon. Nick and Janet Fisk had missed the bus because of a school newspaper meeting, so they walked home together. They were seeing who could walk along the curb without falling. It took a lot of concentration, and when Janet stepped off into the street, Nick said, "That's 3 points for me." But Janet said, "I didn't fall. I saw something. Look." She bent down and picked up a gold ballpoint pen, the fancy kind. That was the first thing, Janet finding the pen. They got back on the curb, and Nick followed Janet, putting one foot carefully in front of the other on the narrow concrete curb. And while he stepped along, he thought back over the school day, especially about his report, and what Mrs. Granger had said about words at the end of the period finally sank in. Okay, hold on. What did she say about words? Who says dog means dog? You do, Nicholas. You and I and everyone in this class and this school and this town and this state and this country, we all agree. Okay, so she is talking about where words come from. It comes from everybody agreeing that a word means what it means. So that was the second thing. The first thing was finding the pen. The second thing was understanding what Mrs. Granger had said. She had said, "Who says dog means dog? You do, Nicholas." I should have trusted the author here. He's put that's right in there for me. "You do, Nicholas," he repeated to himself. "I do?" Nick thought, still putting one foot in front of the other, following Janet. What does that mean? And then Nick remembered something. When he was about 2 years old, his mom had bought him one of those unbreakable cassette players and a bunch of sing-along tapes. This is old audio technology. Today, your mom would buy you a baby's first MP3 player or something. He had loved them, and he played them over and over and over and over. He would carry the tape and the player to his mother or to his big brother or his father and bang them together and say, "Guagala, guagala, guagala," until someone put the cassette in the machine and turned it on. And for 3 years, whenever he had said guagala, his family knew that he wanted to hear those pretty sounds made with the voices and instruments. Then, when Nick went to preschool, he learned that if he wanted his teacher and the other kids to understand him, he had to say the word music. But guagala meant that nice sound to Nick because Nick said so. Who says guagala means music? You do, Nicholas. "No fair," yelled Janet. They were at the corner of their own street, and Nick had bumped into her, completely absorbed in his thoughts. Janet stumbled off the curb, and the gold pen in her hand clattered onto the street. "Sorry, I didn't mean to, honest," said Nick. "I just wasn't watching. Here." Nick stooped over and picked up the pen and held it out to her. "Here's your..." And that's when the third thing happened. Nick didn't say pen. Instead, he said, "Here's your Frindle." "Frindle?" Janet took her pen and looked at him like he was nuts. She wrinkled her nose and said, "What's a Frindle?" Nick grinned and said, "You'll find out. See you later." It was there at the corner of Spring Street and South Grand Avenue, 1 block from home on a September afternoon. That's when Nick got the big idea. I wonder what exactly Nick is thinking here. He reaches out, he calls a pen a Frindle, and he hands it to Janet. Well, we'll find out next time we read in Chapter 7.